Although it slipped under the media's radar at the time, just last year, lawyers for Congress actually argued, and this is amazing, that lawmakers should be exempt from SEC investigations into insider trading. And wait until you hear the legal argument that they make in defense of that. The legal team, led by Kerry W. Kircher, who was appointed House General Counsel by Speaker John Boehner back in 2011, claimed that the insider trading probe violated the separation of powers between the legislative and executive branch. They said that the SEC investigation focused on how Brian Sutter, then a staffer for the House Ways and Means Committee, allegedly passed along information about an upcoming Medicare decision to a lobbyist, who then shared the tip with other firms. Leading hedge funds used the insider tip to trade on health insurance stocks that were affected by the soon-to-be-announced Medicare decision. And so they wanted to investigate that, obviously, but now apparently, under this argument, there are hundreds of people in D.C. that can just do insider trading whenever they want. And if you aim to investigate that, then you're just being political at that point. And you're treading on the separation of powers.
So, 2 layers on this, obviously.
I think they'll self-regulate, Cenk.
Oh, yeah, probably.
I think that they will.
That guy will probably get a stern talking to.
Yeah.
And then he'll know not to do that again. That is shameful.
That's true. I trust the business ethics of people like Darrell Issa.
Of course. So there are 2 layers to this. First of all, there's the corruption, right? Mm-hmm. So they get to do insider trade. This is a very serious business, by the way. So, because they have inside information on what bills are going to pass, whether it's pharmaceutical bills. You know, there's so many things that affect so many different industries, oil subsidies. I mean, you name it, right? And if you have that information, you can buy the stock early. And it's not like that's a thing that's theoretical. They've already done it.
Yeah.
They do it all the time. There's whole lobbying firms whose specialty is this, right? Getting inside information,
political intelligence,
and then telling it to hedge funds and other people who trade on Wall Street, right? So it's intensely corrupt, right? And then sometimes those guys happen to, you know, like, oh, hey, thank you for that tip. Oh, you have now left your office at Senator Jim Jablonski, huh? Well, what a funny coincidence. I have a job for you at $500,000. Thank you for making me $87 million with that tip that you gave me.
Is that how lobbyists talk?
I think they mainly talk like this, to let you know, wink, wink. Okay, now the second layer of it is the hypocrisy. They're such assholes, man. They just passed the law and bragged about it. Like they thumped their chest like, oh, we passed the Stock Act.
The Stock Act.
Look at how uncorrupt we are. This is not allowed anymore. Yeah. And the minute you aren't looking, they turn around and go, how dare you investigate us like our law says?
Yeah,
no, you're not allowed to do that.
The problem is the law was fine as long as no one acted on the law.
Of course.
Says there was a prosecution. What's interesting to me, though, about insider trading, and part of it's my lack of understanding of the stock market, but it's almost impossible not to have insider information in certain jobs. Impossible, right? I mean, this guy, Brian Sutter, was a staffer for House Ways and Means, and he passed along information about that Medicare decision to a lobbyist, and the lobbyist shared the tip with other firms, and everybody makes a lot of money, except regular people.
Everybody in D.C. makes a lot of money.
Everybody in D.C. makes a lot of money. But imagine if you're a really skilled financial correspondent in Washington. Like if you're connected and sourced properly, if you're doing your job properly, you're going to know stuff.
Yeah, probably.
So so what you're telling me, if I'm to understand this correctly, from your work as a former prosecutor, you learn that information. What you're supposed to do is nothing. That's the only thing you're allowed to do is nothing.
No.
Probably certain behaviors are legally allowed and certain others aren't. That's why you need the investigation.
Okay. So let us continue to guess at the answer. Okay. First of all, if you're in a position where you know the information because of the company you work at or maybe because of the government office that you work at, I believe that is a different obligation and you have a legal obligation to shut the fuck up. Okay?
As opposed to if you're just
If you find that information out in other ways, if you're a reporter, I believe that it's an entirely different situation. Do I know the letter of the law and exactly how that works? I don't.
So you think maybe there's some chance a reporter can go off and buy all the shares he wants of...
Oh, no. If he reports it, that's, again, I'm largely guessing. Okay, if he reports it, it's one thing. If he goes, oh, that's an interesting piece
no.
of inside information I found. Now let me go trade on it. No,
Yeah.
that's
No,
guilty.
let me be clear.
Guilty.
Of course, I know he can report it. Of course he can report it. That's
okay.
protected.
No.
That's obviously protected by
No,
the
if
First
you
Amendment.
get the inside information, no matter how you got it, and you trade on it, you're going to be in a load of trouble.
So if he finds that information, but that's, I mean, let's
Unless
not,
you're congressman,
now let's
because
not
they're
pretend.
exempt.
That's very hard to do.
Yeah.
That's very hard to do. Oh, I could make a tremendous amount. I could be set for life, but I can't.
Yeah. No, that's
about,
why
like-
a lot of people do insider trading.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then
It's very appealing.
Yeah, and then, I mean, people have done it on an industrial scale, and then they have $300 million, and they're like, oh, man, you got me, big dog. Okay.
Right, yeah.
Like in the old days when we would bust people on it, right?
Yeah,
Now it's
exactly.
almost never happens, unless in the one case that was really prominent, it was insider trading because some guy sitting on the board of Goldman Sachs traded against Goldman Sachs.
Right.
Ooh, big no-no. You don't do that, okay, then you're in real trouble.
It was like the Bernie Madoff thing.
Right, but even in those situations, you've made so much money. Even if you go to one of those soft-ass prisons for 5 years, 7 years, I can't imagine it would be more than that. You're going to go home and retire on Manhattan Beach, literally what the Wolf of Wall Street did.
Right.
Like, he was more of a two-bit guy. I mean, to be honest,
Right.
he wasn't like one of
Those
those...
were penny stocks.
Yeah, those were, that was like boiler room stuff, right? But yeah, he literally lives in a gorgeous place on the water in Manhattan Beach here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And he served some time with Tommy Chong, learned how to play tennis.
Sounds
So
nice.
when you have that kind of incentive, yeah, most people do it.
And,
it immediately makes me think of like some of the bills that are currently working their way through, like Bernie Sanders' bill to break up all of the largest banks. Like if you, obviously currently that's not going to pass, but if you had some inkling that it was going to, how much that would be worth to you in terms of shorting stocks and all of that, it boggles the mind.
Oh, you would make it killing.
Yeah.
Right.
And then be exempt from investigations.